We are here with FAHREE and Ilkin Dovlatov, whose song Ozule Apar will be representing Azerbaijan this year at Eurovision. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. You're welcome.
Hurricanes are on me, but you take away the pain, healing all the scars that breaking chains.
What was your relationship to Eurovision when you were younger?
Tabii ki Avrovizya.
So I started being a fan since 2008 because Azerbaijan joined the competitions, and this big scene, stage lights, it all was calling to me since day one.
Her il bu muhteşem konseri izlemek.
So this, especially after 2012, that Azerbaijan won Eurovision, the love and interest that we had for it has grown very much.
Tabii ki Avrovizya mən
In 2008, I was 13. This was a very inspiring and interesting show for me, and it became my childhood dream.
FAHREE, your father was a jazz drummer and your grandfather was an actor. How do you feel like they influenced you as a performer?
Mən elə gəlir ki, mən
I believe it runs in my family. It's something on genetic level, the love and passion for music. My father was a jazz drummer.
Bəlkə də ona görə həyatın ritmini tutmuşam.
Maybe that's why I felt the rhythm of this life.
And Ilkin, what about you?
Ve uşaq yaşından
The first recorded performance of mine was when I was 4. I was singing at a birthday party.
FAHREE, initially you decided to pursue a career in law. Can you talk about that decision, and in what ways was music still a part of your life in those years?
Mən belə deyim sizə, təbii
What the pandemic situation taught us is that life is quite short,
qərar
and you don't always have time to pursue your dreams while you're doing something else. So you have to chase what actually makes you happy, what makes you alive. That's why I decided to take this turn.
I was wondering, FAHREE, if you could talk a little bit more about dance and Aparde Uzaglara. Which I believe, did you work with Mila Miles on, who then Ilkin was in your group? Did you all know each other beforehand?
Mən ümumiyyətlə deyəsən
I feel like I created some chaos because I wrote the song, then I sang it with Mila, and then she sang a song with Ilkin, and then I dragged Ilkin into my performance. So it's kind of a big chaos.
Just to follow up on dance for one quick second. It feels to me like the lyric of that song is in some way a response to the pandemic.
bu mahnının ilhamı
You are absolutely correct in your guess. What I've realized that life is full of struggles, and what you can do is just dance through it. And it's not only about physical dance, but also spiritual, mental way of coping with things, accepting it and just keep on dancing.
Ilkin, can you talk about your experience on The Voice?
tabii ki The Voice.
Obviously, it has helped me a lot to prepare.
The Voice
The Voice can be even called like the little brother of Eurovision.
So Ilkin, talking a little bit more about your music, you released these two songs, Tars and Geçeler.
Geceler sensiz geceler, hasretin sinemde geceler, gündüzler seni düşünüp.
And then more recently, you released Insular, which has a very different sound than the first two.
Ey insanlar, hardasız insanlar, hardasız insanlar. Ey insanlar.
Can you talk about your musical evolution and journey?
Ve mən müxtəlif janrlara
I love applying to different genres and mixing them.
və mən
Although in my art, you can more find the examples of classic music or traditional Azerbaijani music, mugham. There is some pop song creation that is also taking place in my life and in my musical career.
In your Eurovision song, the mugham vocals are striking. Can you talk about that tradition and what it means to be representing Azerbaijan with a pop song that also has this sort of traditional element.
İlk önce onu bildireyim.
So we treat mugham, first of all, as a legacy from our ancestors, and we appreciate it very much as a cultural legacy. Other than being traditional music, it's also a spiritual meditation. One of the reasons why we were so much into combining these two genres, like pop and mugham, it kind of represents the human nature, which is on the one hand quite chaotic and on the other side very prone to meditation.
Əslində əvvəl düşündük ki,
Of course, it was a risky thing because this is something that is quite peculiar for European listeners. But thankfully, people were very appreciative of mugham, and we're more than happy that this happened.
Before the song gets sent all over Europe, there's the national selection process. How are you each approached by the broadcaster, and how are things narrowed down to the point where we got this collaboration?
Və təbii ki, yəni
There were 240 applicants, and I met Ilkin at the selection, and soon enough I realized that this part of mugham that I was planning from the very beginning for my song, it is something that he can deliver, and I just decided to go with it.
Can you talk about the inspiration for the lyric of the song and what it means to each of you?
mən sizə belə bir şey
What I can say is that all the songs that I've ever written for myself are based on my personal feelings, experiences. They all come from my own life.
və bu mahnını
The song tells the story of my personal struggles, of my looking for the right path and finding harmony in a relationship.
FAHREE, did I read somewhere that you've started acting lessons in preparation for being on the Eurovision stage?
təbii ki,
These are not the classical acting classes that you may think of. It's more making sure that when I look in the camera, when I look at the audience, that they speak of what I'm singing as well. I want to fully render my feelings.
tək mənimlə deyil, yəni biz
We rented a place where we rehearse all the details of staging. Also, we do sports to keep us fit.
Mən eşitdiyimə görə
The thing that thrills me, not in the best way, is I heard that it's quite cold in Sweden. I've never been there before, but I'm not very much excited about that.
və bu da səsimizə
And also, like jokes aside, I hope that this will not affect our singing because it's a change of climate, it's cold weather, so we have to be careful.
mən qorxudan tək bir şeydir ki, orada dadlı yemək olmayacaq.
And I am most scared of that I will not be able to find delicious food for myself.
It sounds like you're mentally very ready when the food and the weather is the biggest concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Azerbaijan has had a ton of Eurovision success, right? But recently, the past 2 years, it struggled to qualify. The artists last year, they said that part of the problem is that these days at Eurovision, if you want to do well, you have to write about politics or you have to write about LGBT issues. Do you agree with that statement?
Və
So I wrote a song about my personal love story, about my personal relationship, and it's dedicated to the woman I love. But everyone who listens to this song, no matter whom they call a partner, if they feel connected, if they feel like dedicating the song to a partner, then it's great. I'm more than happy that this happens at the end of the day. It's only about your personality and whom you choose to be. It doesn't matter which community you belong to.
bizim ölkədə
Our priority is that we develop communication with people so that people are free to express themselves.
This year, Eurovision is happening against the backdrop of the war in Gaza. And there have been a lot of artists and broadcasters who have talked about the idea that Israel should be barred. One thing we talk about a lot on this podcast is how there's increasing conflict among the nations within the Eurovision coalition. A perfect example also is Azerbaijan and Armenia are both in Eurovision, which, obviously there's tension over Nagorno-Karabakh. So how do you think Eurovision should navigate these conflicts? And what do you think the role of an artist is when you represent a country?
biz artist
We feel like as people of arts, what we should discuss is what each country is represented in terms of art with. So if we're speaking about Israel at Eurovision, we should focus on Israel's performance, Israel's representatives' song at the contest. That's pretty much my opinion.
Ve
And what I want to say is that I actually believe that music is going to save the world.
böyle diyeyim.
Probably you've heard that the mantra Om is kind of a signification of the world being started from the sound. And now music is the voice of the world. So why would it be ruined by political situation when it can actually make it better and unite?
Ve sonunda
And plus to being musicians, we're just ordinary people who don't want to wake up to bad news and hear about deaths and problems. We don't want to live it. We don't want to experience it. We want to live peacefully. And if you're asking, this is our position on the matter.
Thank you both so much, FAHREE, Ilkin Dovlatov. We can't wait to see you in Malmo.
We'll see you in Malmo.
All the mysteries of the Euroverse.